Banned anime, a fantastic topic to look into if you're as morbidly curious as I am, and you're not scared of getting put onto another government watch list. Different anime get banned in different countries for different reasons, and most of the time, it typically makes sense. Usually, this is going to be due to explicit content, or excessive violence, or if you're lucky, copyright. The most exciting reason to be banned. Now keep in mind, typically these shows are going to be banned by governments, deeming it like, hey, that should not be allowed in our country. We just don't want to deal with it. Or in the case of like Mr. Osamatsu, you just copied the homework a little too closely. But what if, and hear me out, what if a show got pulled not by a government or by a competing licensor, whatever the fuck, right? What if it got pulled by its own licensing company? Well, then you'd have Interspecies Reviewer. We're talking about that today. The anime was based off the manga of the same name, written by Amahara and illustrated by Masha. Those are both pseudonyms, because I don't know why you wouldn't want your legal name attached to this property. Then it was animated by Passion, I hope I'm saying that name right, who have primarily worked on spin-off shows such as High School DxD, Higurashi Go, Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World, which is less of a title and more of a checklist. I might end up talking about that one later because I watched some of it, and I hated it, but I also remember really liking the manga when I read it, so I'm oddly conflicted. It's garbage, but like, I don't know, I'll save it for another time. So let's talk about why Interspecies got canceled. And would you believe me if I were to tell you it was due to sexual content? It was due to sexual content. The show is supposed to be a sex comedy, and it has both of those things. It's funny, but my god, is it also so horny. It feels like if Amahara watched High School DxD and then just went,
their pretty red hair and huge kazangas.
Hold my beer. Because my god, is it horny. Like, it is as horny, if not more horny, than some hentai, while at the same time showing not a lot enough. It'll show enough, but not enough to get the adult-only treatment. It was pulled from 2 of its original TV licensors in Japan, because in Japan, they air anime on TV, like we would air cartoons on TV. Think like Nickelodeon has SpongeBob, right? So imagine you're watching SpongeBob, and when the last episode turns off, instead of it playing Jimmy Neutron or whatever, it's just OnlyFans. I'm imagining that's how it went over there. I could be totally wrong. Now, eventually they did get other channels to start airing it, but that was only kind of the start of its issues, because they were also going to be licensed by Funimation. I am so sorry. And after 3 episodes, it got dropped from Funimation in the United States as it fell outside of Funimation's standards. What standards? Also, they kept airing it in Europe because Europe just doesn't care about sex like we do in the US. But the show got pulled from US streaming on episode 3. So the funny thing about this is that on episode 4 at the start, everyone just dies. They kill everyone and then say, thank you for supporting the Interspecies Reviewers. Now, obviously, this is a fake out. They're gonna continue because there's a whole fucking season left. All the characters are still alive, whatever. But the fact that they did this right after Funimation dropped it, dude, the poetic irony is just mwah. Then later on, Amazon would go on to pull it from its streaming as well, meaning the only way that you could watch this in the US is to either buy a physical copy off of Amazon, which if you do, take a shower, but if you don't, then you have to then resort to less legal means to be able to do it. Later, Amazon would pull it from its streaming services as well, making it kind of, in a way, illegal to stream in the US, which was a problem because I wanted to watch this with my friends so we can make fun of it, but streaming it's kind of not legal, so today, I am going to commit a crime. I really should not be saying these things. I did a watch party in my Discord with my friends, and I was just waiting for someone to join, watch the stream, and see the worst things that didn't happen, so I guess that's good, but man, that would have been funny. I think that would have been funny. But we do watch parties pretty much every Saturday, so if you want to join, maybe watch a funny anime with us, links to everything are going to be down below. Love to have you. It'll be a good old time. Now, let's talk about the actual show. It's not a hentai. The show is not a hentai. Despite what you are currently seeing through copious amounts of blur, I promise, not a hentai. This is an anime, definitely not a hentai. I feel like Trevor Moore right now in the things that are illegal to say on TV skit from the Whitest Kids You Know. Rest in peace, man. So to explain why there's so much sex in the show, we should probably talk about the plot. It's sex. Now, the main city that this whole show takes place in has a giant red light district with a bunch of different brothels, and every brothel focuses on a different monster girl, different type of sexual experience. There is a buttload, which is a real unit of measurement, by the way, of different ways that you can do the do. Mountain Dew. Anyways, that's all the world building you need to know. There isn't really much more than that. Technically, they go into politics for I think all of 2 minutes before they just drop that entirely. Just accept the world as it is and don't go asking any more questions because you will be left very disappointed. Next, we have our protagonists, and they're fucking assholes. Literally. First, we have Stunk, or Was Stinky, and he is a normal human adventurer type. Then we have Zell. Zell is an elf. Sure. Finally, we have Krim. Krim is an angel, and also she, I don't know. They have both male and female sexual organs. It's relevant to one of the episodes, don't look too deep into it. They want to decide which brothel to go to together, which is kind of weird to me because I don't know if I'd ever just go to a brothel with a bunch of the bros, but you can't spell brothel without bros, so you know, it's like a gay strip club. But they can't agree on what they all find sexy. So to make up their minds, they each pick a race, write down a review of their previous sexual experience with it to try to convince the other person whether or not they want to go to that brothel, and thus the Interspecies Reviewers are born. Eventually, they start getting paid for their reviews by their readers, which are just the guys who go to the same bar as them, but these guys trust their words wholeheartedly because they're blunt and very opinionated, like Redditors. The show is just if Redditors got laid. I don't like that thought. So to break it down, they go to a brothel, they have sex, they write a review on the sex, get paid for the review, and then go back to have sex with said money. Repeat until no longer horny. There's a bunch of other characters as well who make pretty frequent appearances, but none of which I would consider main characters at all, except for Majorie, a bird maid. Must protect. Anyways, if you're curious about which monster girls and experiences are in the show, don't worry. See, I've made a list of all the experiences in the show. So let's read through it. We have cat girls, bird maids, fairies, cowgirls, gender-swapping potions featuring a slime and a hyena girl, Lilims, salamander girls, golems or a build-your-own-fuck doll, mushroom girls, cyclops, wisps of light, egg-laying, featuring a crocodile, penguin, and other type of lizard girl. Look, okay, furries I can understand to a degree, but this is a strictly anti-scaly household, damn it. Is that racist? A role-playing brothel, purebred succubi, undead girls featuring skeletons, zombies, vampires, magical clones, alcoholic gnomes. Just really? Alcoholic gnomes? That's really? Why is that a type of monster girl? What? Demon girls, who I guess are different from succubi and lilims. I don't know. I'll take it. And finally, dream eaters, who allow you to have lucid dreams with anyone that you've had sex with in the past so you can re-experience it. And then when you wake up from the dream, you can then fuck the dream eater. Fuck is my life. Is it funny? Yes. The show is actually really funny, which isn't the problem. The problem is how the fuck do you recommend this show to someone without making them think that you put anime figurines into a jar? If you understand that reference, I'm sorry. Sorry to have to make you relive that, and if you don't understand that reference, I need you to trust me, don't look it up. Just please do not look it up. It's not worth it, you're gonna hate it. This is one of those shows that people who don't watch anime imagine anime is like. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, so is this one of them shows where like the characters scream a lot and moan, and like they're giant tits that flop around for no god apparent reason that contribute nothing to the story? Yep. Like, it's funny, but it is also just an experience. Like when you watch an entire crowd cheer on a sexy crocodile as she lays eggs, you know you fucked up somewhere in life. It's a lot of puns, a lot of visual humor, mostly cringe. I'm realizing now that my channel is just becoming a hub for degeneracy and cringe. I don't know how to feel about that. At some point, I'll need to do a review of an actual, just normal anime to get the flavor of, I was about to say get the flavor of cum out of my mouth, but that's You know what I mean. Shut up. The show is incredibly funny, but that's just what makes it super frustrating. It's like one of the 3 big things that is super frustrating about the show. Sure, I'll tell you what the other 2 things are. Twist my arm, why don't you? So 1 is that it's funny. 2, the animation is insanely good. Like, they put so much detail into this for no reason. Small details that you don't even think about until you notice, and then you're like, why is that a detail? Like, they don't do black lines on most of the characters. Most of the time, there are no black lines. Instead, everything is a shaded line, just a darker shade of whatever color that the line is containing. It's not necessary. Why are you adding detail like that? And then the 3rd reason it's frustrating is like, the music fucking slaps, dude. Like, this is so good. Like, why? Why are we trying so hard for this? Why? Also, it just reminds me, like, I'm watching my one-hit kill sister this season because I'm a fucking masochist, I guess. And it has a similar pattern of really interesting animation details on a really bad anime, but it has amazing music. Like, why is this a pattern where there's a garbage show, but then the music is fucking awesome? Like, why? But these 3 reasons, right? These are all positives. They add to the value of the show, which is frustrating because the main value of the show is you have to watch these horny bastards fuck monster girls and then give detailed descriptions and a review about the experience. And towards the end of the show, they actually make points about how reviewers and critics have powers, and those powers can be used to help other people. But at that point, just watch Donkey's video about video game critics, because it applies to not just video games, but also, I guess, monster girls. In general, he makes better points about critics and the powers that they have, while also making a point of, hey, this is how you can trust a critic, and this is how you know how to utilize a critic's words. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. It's not something I should do. Donkey's video, fantastic. I'll leave a link to that down below. Check it out. If you haven't seen it, fucking amazing. Watch it. That being said, I did enjoy this show. Originally, I watched a few episodes alone and then realized I could have spent my time better watching actual hentai or the entirety of Harvard's computer science course online, but then I decided to change it into a watch party with my friends, and it was a significantly better experience that way. And just because I enjoyed this show doesn't mean I could recommend it to someone unless I knew them incredibly well. The reason I watched it with 2 of my friends was because I already knew they were degenerates. One of them had already seen the entire show, so he was really rewatching it with us. That was still fun, like that was still a good time, but like I can't recommend this show to just anyone, but if you're a degenerate, you'll probably like the show. To bring it full circle, the show was pretty much banned from streaming in the US, and I completely understand why, because yeah, I get why a company may not want their name attached to a product like this. But how did you get the licensing rights if you didn't expect this? Like, you read the manga, right? Like, there's no way you purchased the license for a show and then were suddenly shocked like, oh my god, tits? Not unless you didn't read the source material. I don't think you knew what you were getting into. So you either purchased the licensing rights for this without doing a single Google search to see what the content was gonna be like and the level of adult content within it, or B, you purchased it and then just assumed the studio was going to censor a lot of shit without discussing this weeks, if not months beforehand. I don't want this to come across as if Funimation are the bad guys. They're not villains. I think they just made a little fucky wucky. Why do I say fucky wucky? I like the word fucky wucky. I think it's funny. So if you do end up wanting to watch the show, you'll either have to illegally stream it online or purchase a physical copy. Please take a shower. Overall, I'm gonna rate the show a 7 out of 10 because I really enjoyed it. However, the rewatch value is not there unless you're rewatching it with someone who's never seen the show before, but then you're watching it more for their reaction rather than the actual substance of the show. Now, should you ever recommend this to anyone? No, not unless you're okay getting a restraining order. Instead, let me do that. That's my job. Hi, my name's Brent. I review dog shit anime. Please subscribe. Goodbye.